Hi or hi. So it's really interesting when you're waiting for this to kind of kick in and start. I'm kind of sitting here with my sort of, control center, mission control. And I've got my chart ready, I've got my notes ready, and good evening. And thank you so much for joining me for this Penny Goes Live. Penny goes live tonight with a look at the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's happening virtually now on May the 5th, because it is May the 5th. And the degree of the moon opposite the sun is at 14 degrees and 58 minutes. And I'm going to come in a minute to why that is so important. According to timeanddate.com, okay, the eclipse is already in progress, and we have another 3 hours, 30 minutes approximately of this penumbral lunar eclipse. Now, where is it visible? Well, the regions seeing at least some parts of the eclipse are parts of Europe, the UK. If you're out there, UK, I don't think you're going to see much, I'm afraid. And anywhere where it's still daylight, which it is here in, let's use the capital of Malta, Valletta, it's daylight. The moon will rise, but I doubt that I will see much. But it's also visible in Asia, Australia, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, and Antarctica. Is anyone down there in Antarctica? All interesting locations. So, I think the thing is, these eclipses are incredibly powerful. They excite us from a kind of just an energy level anyway, let alone all the astrological symbolism that goes along with it. And thank you so much for all the comments that are already arriving on live chat. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go through the information that I feel it's important to put out there for this lunar eclipse. And then at the end, I will answer as many of your questions as I can. But it's lovely to see so many of you here, and a lot of you whose names are very familiar to me, Marion, Maybury. And it's just lovely to see you here, and just thank you. And while I'm on this note, I have to say, oh gosh, thank you so much. All of you, and a lot of you that are watching probably tonight, have been with me since I had like 400 subscribers. And you may have noticed that in the last couple of days, and I have to say, it's humbling, it's exciting, and it's the first time in my life, and I'm coming up to 68 in 2 years' time, that I can truly say I am being successful at something I'm passionate about. Now, that sounds a bit dramatic, but actually, it's the truth. And so, one of the things I want to say within that is it's never too late to follow your dream and to follow your passion. But the reason I'm saying thank you is because I've reached 20,000 subscribers. In fact, before I came on air, it's 20,500 and a bit. Thank you. And also, I want to add that I am meeting so many of you through the private consultations that we have for your natal charts. And I'm meeting people from all over the world. America, most of America, Canada, Australia, Europe, the UK, Norway, the Baltic lands. I mean, just huge areas of the world. And all of you, without fail, are the most extraordinary, wonderful characters and people. And I've had wonderful sessions with all of you. And it just, it feeds my soul as much as I hope it feeds your soul. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much for the support that you give me. Now let's get back to the main event, which is our full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So I'm going back to my notes because what I want to start with talking about is darkness. The moon is being shadowed by the earth. The sun is behind the moon, so that it's the, what am I talking about? The sun is behind the earth. I'll get my astronomy right in a minute. The sun is behind the earth. And so the shadow of the earth is covering the face of the moon. The moon is the feminine. The moon is our intuition. The moon is our feelings. The moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is the underworld. Scorpio is that inner depth that we have in our own personal psychology that is sometimes quite hard to inhabit. And sometimes we feel very much as if we're in the dark and that we have no hope because things get so challenging, difficult, stuck. And this full moon, there's been quite a lot of hype around the energy of this full Scorpio lunar eclipse moon. And I want to say that on one level, Scorpio, because of its very nature, the fact that it is about death, rebirth, it's about beginnings and endings. It's also about transformation because Pluto, our lovely dwarf planet in the Kuiper Belt, is about transformation. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto plays a part, but loosely in this eclipse. But I don't want to lose my thread of darkness. Because when we are in the dark, the one thing that we have is faith. And sometimes we forget that because what we have to try and elevate our kind of consciousness to is the fact that we are all part of an amazing kind of entangled kind of vibration with the cosmos, with the divine. The divine does have our back. And if we have faith that the divine has our back, is on our team, then we can be in the dark and be patient and know that the way will become clear for where we need to go to. So let's also look at the energy of this eclipse in the fact that it's at the degree point of 14 degrees and 58 minutes in Scorpio. So that means the moon in Scorpio is at 14 degrees and 58 minutes. If you know your chart, find Scorpio and find where 14 degrees 58 minutes is in that particular house. Now, the sun is in Taurus, And so the sun is clearly at 14 degrees and 58 minutes. And not only is it conjunct retrograde Mercury, our planet of communication, but it's also conjunct Uranus. Uranus, which is like our joker in the pack. Uranus that likes to turn things upside down, shock us awake, wake us up. So this leads me into the first sort of kind of area that I wanted to talk about with this full moon, because, you know, it's not always about what happens out there externally in the world, because for us to grow and change, something has to happen on an inner level. And there's something about the nature of the energy for this particular Scorpio full moon eclipse, which is about going within. You know, Scorpio is about hidden depths. You could almost say it's about our inner secrets that even sometimes we're not fully conscious of. And this eclipse, this full moon energy, this tension between the sun and the moon, Uranus, waking us up to what we need to let go of. What do you need to let go of in terms of your behaviors, for instance? Your thinking patterns. Are your thinking patterns not healthy? Is the thinking that you have distorted? Do you get caught into anxiety, paranoia? Because these are the kind of energies that we all wrestle with. And that this full moon energy is giving us the chance to take it onto an inner level so that we work with it and do some inner reflection, rather than literal events having to be played out in our lives that push us, that force us to look at the inner world. Because this is the interesting thing with astrology. If we don't kind of work in harmony with it, then the cosmos gets a little bit frustrated with us. It gets a little bit impatient. So it will present an external kind of dramatic event that forces us to maybe stand still, to be still, to go within, to look at the inner world and what we need to let go of, change, grow from, and leave in the past, and give birth, the transformation of Scorpio, give birth to a new kind of level of our understanding of consciousness. So that's all a bit deep, isn't it? So now let's look at all the things that happen with the fear that can come around eclipses. And bearing in mind that I'm based in Malta and in the UK, and I know some of you watching will be in the UK, we have the coronation of King Charles III tomorrow. And, excuse me, oh dear, excuse me, a little sip of my water. So interesting. So, you know, somebody made a comment on my coronation video, which is out there on my channel if you want to check at my in-depth look at what I said about the energy for the coronation tomorrow. But they made the comment that, of course, it's actually taken out of King Charles's hands as to the date of the coronation, and that it is probably something that is decided upon by Parliament, and it will be to do with lots of things, availability and public services, which makes a lot of sense, because if we were choosing a date astrologically, for King Charles to be crowned, bearing in mind eclipses today have a kind of historical meaning of the the death of leaders, the death of kings. I really don't sincerely think King Charles is about to pass his mortal coil, but the energy, I don't feel, is particularly great for the coming together of this celebration. However, it is what's happening. And maybe it's about the birth of a new approach to the monarchy in the UK. So the ending of the old ways. That could be one take on it. Whether it will all unfold to plan, well, we will have to wait and watch the news tomorrow and Sunday to see whether it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. The interesting thing is that on Saturday, tomorrow, the 6th, the moon is void for a large proportion of the day, most of the afternoon. Now, whether that coincides with the actual anointing, as they call it, when he goes off into a private little area that's all curtained off to be anointed king, which I think I'd love to see that. Sounds incredibly symbolic and kind of historically exciting. But anyway, we don't get to see that bit. But never mind. Maybe the mystery is good. And maybe that's part of Scorpio. Because remember, the moon will still be in Scorpio. But it goes void. It's going to be void for a large part of the day. That ain't good. Because void moons mean don't do anything of any particular importance. So Mercury retrograde as well. Not great. Not a great choice of day. But if he had any or has had any choice in the timing, and I have no idea whether he has an interest in astrology or not. I could have Googled it, but I haven't. So if anyone knows whether he has an interest in astrology, please let me know in the comments. It may be a strategic choice of this date, because perhaps he wants to be a caretaker king for a while, and then kind of retire from public service like his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth, did, and let the younger royals take over. That is one possibility with this kind of energy around the eclipse. But let's come back to you and this full moon, because people get very fearful of eclipses and fear the worst. Please remember that eclipses and the degree points are very kind of tight. So if you know your chart well and you have particular cosmic points like, let's say, ascendant, midheaven, descendant, I see at 14 or 15 degrees or 16 or 13 degrees, or particular planets at those degrees in any of the other houses, but specifically in Scorpio and Taurus, then yes, this may be a very important time for you, but it won't necessarily have happened today or will happen today, because the energy of this eclipse is going to last for several weeks into months, because it's determined by the timing that the eclipse takes. And if you think about it, as we're doing this now, this live, we're actually almost like in the eye of the storm. We are actually within the energy of the eclipse as we talk about this. Isn't this a good use of the energy to kind of go, as I said in one of my other videos, I think it was the full moon video, bring it on, come on, give it to me, Scorpio, give it to me, full moon. What do you want to show me? Because sometimes, you know, we get so kind of caught up in our we disempower ourselves. We give the power to everything else. We give it to people in charge. We give it to me. Don't give it to me. I don't know. I just take care of my own feelings and position and consciousness and power. But I want to empower you. I want you to be in charge of how you choose to deal not only with full moon energy and eclipse energy, but your astrological charts. We do not have to be a victim of anything. The cosmic weather forecast, which astrology gives us, is really about whether we need to take an umbrella out with us or a sun hat. And once we kind of view it with less fear and realize that we're not the victim of powers that are kind of orchestrating what we do, where we go, and how we are, then it makes it much easier to actually choose how we respond to these energies. You know, it's like they say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And actually, that analogy is so good, and we forget it. And it's really about looking at what we have in our own toolboxes as to what we can use to create rich, valuable lives for ourselves, lives that are full of depth and quality and structure. So I just want to run through quickly the energies, and then I'll come and look at some of your comments and see if there's anything I can kind of personally answer with you. I just sort of keep looking at my hair. I'm going through a Mercury retrograde, changing my hairstyle transition, which is not necessarily a good thing to do when Mercury is retrograde, but I haven't cut it. I'm just growing it because I have to grow it. I know I digress, but I have to grow it into my summer lengths because it gets so hot here in Malta that I need all this off my face. So I'm growing this bit so I can push it back. So you're going to meet Penny's forehead. That's what's going to happen. Now, I just have seen this comment and I have to actually respond to it because Jem has said, maybe King Charles is into astrology and this is why he's asked for it to be done on this day. And yes, you make a very valid point. And that is curious. And it would be lovely to know if that is what is around this energy. But we have other energy as well, because Neptune, our planet of illusion, dreams, spirituality, intuition, in Pisces, the sign it rules. Let's do my little Pisces, my oceans of emotions. How are you all, my little Pisces? Well, I hope. I have a special Pisces, but I have several special Pisces in my life. And one, Andrea, who does all the lovely artwork for my videos and is my kind of, she's my boss, really. I probably don't, anyway, she looks after me. She's helped me get to 20K. So thank you, Andrea. Anyway, she's going to come around tomorrow and we're going to spend the coronation day together watching it, because we're both Londoners, Southeast Londoners with our Southeast accent, and we're going to raise a glass to the new king. So we're going to have a right old royal time. So, but coming back to Neptune in Pisces, I do digress, don't I? Neptune in Pisces is squaring. So squaring is challenging. Venus, our planet of relationship, self-worth, value, in Gemini. Gemini, with Venus in Gemini, this is where Venus and love and relationship is giving a lot of thought first of all to how they do feel valued. So this could be, there may be something going on for some of you where you're analyzing yourselves and wondering whether you are valued, whether people notice you, whether people take you seriously. And you need to kind of, it might be that is kind of exaggerated at the moment with this energy. So try not to get into that kind of self-deprecating energy. Everyone, all of you are valuable. You've joined me here tonight. How cool is that? We're a community coming together to, ultimately send out good intentions, good juju, good love, good light, good energy to the cosmos, to banish any of the darker energies that can be present with eclipses. Neptune in Pisces is also trining, which is helpful, Mars, our planet of action, energy, assertion, sexuality. In Cancer, of course, is kind of rather important because the moon rules Cancer. And so the sign of Cancer is kind of highlighted because it's a water sign. And the moon is in another water sign, Scorpio. So Neptune trining Mars is saying that there might be dreams that you need to dream that actually you're really passionate about, and that you can use this full moon energy to end old ways of thinking, old ways of being, ways that hold you back, ways of thinking that put you down, ways of thinking that really aren't healthy. It's so important to be aware of the dialogues we have with ourselves, because we do it so unconsciously. And a lot of our self-talk is very damaging to us. We beat ourselves up. We criticize ourselves. So we really have to move beyond that. And this is a full moon energy that shows that over the next few months, the next 6 months, let's say, you can really work on letting go of ways of behaving and thinking that do not serve you well. I want to also talk about the fact that this lunar eclipse is at what is known as the midpoint bar 2 minutes of the sign of Scorpio, which means it marks the midpoint of the seasons. There is a pagan festival known as Beltane, and it's the lighting of the fires. And I'm not an expert on it, but there may be some of you out there that can leave in the comments what the bigger picture is around that. But it's interesting that we have the symbolism of Scorpio with life and death and transformation, Beltane, the end of winter and the beginning of summer. So it is incredibly interesting energy. So let me have a look and see what you're all chatting about. Let's have a look. Yes, Angel 171. I did actually see Steve Judd's video about Beltane and the full moon eclipse. Excellent. That's what reminded me to mention Beltane, because I think it's important to look at the symbolism of the rhythms of the eclipses and the moon, and and it's just the fact that it's Scorpio, which I think is so telling. So let's see what everyone else is. Beltane is celebrating, that's right, the return of light, hence the fires are lit. Thank you for that, Annabelle. And Beltane, yes, is it's Wicca. That's right, it's Wicca. And yet Steve Judd is great. I think he's a top astrologer, really sound guy. So someone up here is saying they've had some, Angel is saying she's had some Mercury retrograde frustrations over the last couple of weeks and missed 2 closing dates for jobs that you really wanted to apply for. You've been scatty that you didn't sort it out in time. You know what? You've still got time. And maybe actually the reason that these have not happened, or you've made them late, or they've become late, is because the cosmos knows better than you. And the cosmos is saying they're not right for you. Something better is coming in. So I think it's always important to trust that. Yes, sometimes we do let good opportunities go. And then we have to look into ourselves and look at what it is in us that won't embrace what the cosmos is trying to give us. Because, sometimes we are our own worst enemies. You are so welcome, Angel. And yeah, it's, what's this? Annabelle Sapphire, what a beautiful name. Yes, it is. Hi, Penny. Why am I feeling tired? And I'm a Taurus, although I feel some positive vibes coming in. I think we're feeling tired because these energies are incredibly intense. I think there's going to be a little bit of a kind of a pressure point that'll be burst. I do think we may see an event over the next few weeks. I feel it's a bit sooner because we have coming up between around the 17th and the 23rd of May, we have something which is known as a fixed grand cross. And one of the important points in that is that Mars, our planet of action, energy, war and assertion and aggression, in Leo is in opposition to Pluto, the planet of change and transformation. Now, this doesn't happen very often, and this could be a short, sharp shock that comes in. And we know there are problem areas in the world. We've had Sudan, we've got Ukraine, we've got Russia having fireworks over the Kremlin. I mean, let's face it, if someone wanted to take them out, I think they would do a little bit better than a drone that was only capable of going. So, I'm not going to say too much because YouTube might ban me. And I don't want to say that. So what's this? I've had to postpone the open day of my Reiki treatment room. So I've reset the day for the new moon. Yes, actually brilliant. 19th of May in Taurus. And this is a pretty nice new moon. It's going to be an easier new moon. Also, Mercury will have gone direct by then. So that would be much, much better. Yeah, Annabelle, smoking gun in Russia. I think so. And yes, Marion, you're seeing it as well, the drone, exactly. And yes, someone else saying, Rahib, you're not alone in feeling tired. These are intense energies. I too get victim to it, and it's tough. So listen, are there any more really important questions that you want to ask? Or someone here has said this eclipse is on top of my MC and Uranus conjunct my IC right now. Woo! I think that's fantastic. I think that is absolutely awesome. You are going to be propelled out into the public arena if you choose to be. This could be really super cool for your career. I think, and that's the other thing I wanted to say about Uranus. Uranus is about waking up. So there is something about this full moon energy that wants us to collectively wake up. And, what's this? What's the effect of Jupiter in Taurus in the upcoming days? Okay, Rabbi, and I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. I feel that Jupiter in Taurus, I feel, and Others may not agree with me. I like the sound of Jupiter in Taurus because Taurus is about money. And I think if we err on the side of positivity and work with that energy in a positive, constructive way, why can't it bring in some abundance? My God, we all need a bit more abundance in our lives. So I think it depends where it is in your chart. So, without knowing everyone's obviously individual charts, it's a bit difficult. But if you go to my full moon video, I do go through each of the individual signs. So I put one up, or rather my tech guy, Jerry, uploaded a video for the full moon a few days ago. But also if you go to my May horoscopes for each of the individual zodiac signs, listen to your rising sign first. I think that's the best one to listen to. And I do talk about the energy of Jupiter going into Taurus and what what house it is for you. So that's interesting, Suzanne. The instinct is of one of breath holding until a wick is lit. And that fits in with the kind of Beltane energy, doesn't it? Your Jupiter Taurus conjunct Lilith. Lucky you. You could be in for a nice time. Looking up Gwen. Hi, Gwen. You're looking forward to the new moon, aren't we all? I love your whiskey and bagels with Brandon. I love my whiskey and bagels with Brandon. And if Brandon's watching or watches this later, hi, honey. Love you loads. And yeah, do check out our whiskey and bagels episodes. They are all on Brandon's channel now. We decided it was easier to streamline it just down one channel. And so that's where you'll find them. And we're still doing them more or less every week. Sometimes during this Mercury retrograde, it's all got a bit messed up. So it takes a bit of time, but do check them out and check his channel out as well. He's he's pretty cool. So what's this? Let's see. I enjoy both you and Brandon together. Well, I'd love to enjoy myself with Brandon, but unfortunately, there's a rather large Atlantic Ocean in between us. So what can you do? But there we go. I like that. I love Brandon, so authentic. And someone here is looking forward to being a billionaire in Kenya. Aren't we all looking forward to being billionaires wherever we are? But you know what? Too much money isn't always a good thing unless you can kind of give it out to lots of charity, because a lot of money could create a lot of problems. I always feel I want to know I can have food in my fridge, electricity, water, and I can pay my bills. And I know that I'm very lucky to be in the position that I can have that. And I know that there are other people that struggle with all of those areas. So by no means am I blind to that. And I think that is very difficult. So on that note, there may be, wherever you are in the world, there might be an opportunity, if it's getting dark, for you to still see this lunar eclipse. It's a penumbral lunar eclipse, and we don't get another one like this till 2030 something. So go out there and have a look. And I want to say again, thank you so much, all of you. Awesome lot. You're incredible. And thank you so much for being here, supporting me. What can I say? Oh yes, I know what I wanted to say. Apart from please like and subscribe and all of that stuff, which you all are clearly doing. Thank you so much. But do check out my website. I'm now taking bookings for June. I've got the odd availability in May, but only probably if you're Europe or UK. My American slots go first. And so that is why if you're in America, I tend to be booking into June now. So because I only have a very few at the right time for you. But check out my website, pennydix.com. And hopefully if I can get my head around it, me and Andrea are working on this, how to read your natal chart, so that it's a course basically that we're going to sell on the website for you to be able to learn how to read your own chart in a beginner's kind of fashion. And I just have to get over my procrastination, and I have to just get on and do it. And I've done a lot of it, but I haven't finished it. So that's going to be available, we hope, from the beginning of June. But sign up to the website, subscribe to the website, and then you'll get the newsletter. And this is Andrea's domain, and she is truly wonderful, and I love her to bits, as you can probably gather. So I'm going to stop kind of wittering on now. Thank you all, 127 of you that are here at the moment. Thank you so much. And you're all amazing. Thank you for all the live chat. I'm sorry if I can't get to everyone, but truly, you're all awesome. And I really look forward to seeing you next time. So bye for now.